Today we will be discussing the Accounting 101s for cannabis and non-cannabis businesses alike. Let's get started. So the first thing I would want to recommend for anybody in a cannabis or non-cannabis business is to hire a bookkeeper and a CPA. And if those people aren't the same people, because sometimes you can hire a bookkeeper on your side and have a CPA to consult, or your CPA does your bookkeeping and your and your consulting and your tax work and everything else. So if those two people are separate people, the key thing there is make sure that they communicate. Communication is key and makes it easier on both sides of the equation, whether it's the client, whether it's the accountant, whether it's the bookkeeper. It makes everybody's lives that much easier with some easy communication. Another thing you want to consider is, do you have an accounting software? If you have an accounting software, what kind of accounting software is it? And here are some things to consider when you're choosing that accounting software. General functionality. Does it meet your general needs? Does it meet your industry specific needs? So I know for cannabis industry, a lot of people are getting excited. Oh, this software is coming out and that software is coming out and they all tie to metric and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. That's a great theory. I've seen in practice, though, it's not really solidified and there isn't a streamlined software that really ties out to everything in a consistent manner where you're not having to reconcile and do reconciliation journal entries anyway, which kind of, in my opinion, sort of defeats the purpose of that industry-specific software in the first place. Another thing you want to consider is it going to be a cloud-based or a desktop? Cloud-based can definitely offer a lot of mobility purposes and a lot of flexibility, but at the same time, the capability sometimes, what I've noticed, and this is in online software in particular, is the capability isn't always there. Sometimes the capability needs to be adjusted. Sometimes the capability, it doesn't quite handle what the same desktop version of the same software can handle. So there's things that you can get an advantage on the desktop versus an online software. So it just depends on what you need in that way. Another thing is bank compatibility. I know some companies, they do have a way to link in. So QuickBooks in particular has a way to tie in your bank accounts into your QuickBooks, which makes it easier for both your accountant and yourself because you don't have to constantly prepare bank statements. Here's my bank statement every month. Here's my bank statement. Here's my bank statement. Here's my bank statement. Instead, it's all linked to your QuickBooks. So all your accountant has to do is go in, look through your bank transactions and see, do these make sense? And if they don't, they can ask you a question about that journal entry and move forward from there. One thing I really want to accentuate and make clear on this is when it comes to Accounting 101, no matter what, business is business and personal is personal. Do not intermingle the two because that does create giant headaches, in my opinion, from an accounting perspective for your CPA and anyone else who has to do your bookkeeping, because I'm going to then have to pull through those and figure out, okay, is this Amazon charge? Because that's one that I see on a pretty consistent basis. Is this Amazon charge, is it personal or is it business? Because Amazon is such a general state or a general line item that it could be either or. So make sure that you're doing business expenses in one account and personal in another. Do not intermingle the two. And if you do intermingle the two for any way, shape, or form or any reason, make sure that you tell your CPA or your bookkeeper to let them know, hey, you need to know that this is a personal expense. I had to pay some bills out of my business this month. That happens. That's okay. But at the same time, it's best not to. And if you do, let your accountant or your bookkeeper know so they can split that out accordingly, because there could be tax ramifications or other ramifications when it comes to equity, depending on this type of entity you have in place at the time. So another thing you want to make sure is backup. So when it comes to your data, you want to have multiple copies of everything. You want to have a physical copy. You want to have an electronic copy on a hardware, on a hard drive or a cloud-based software, as well as an external hard drive where you have all your backups saved. So where you do a periodic backup of all your accounting and all your systems every month, quarter. Either of those two, I would say, are probably the safest. If you're starting to go out